to Storm Stream, the Reconnected, also known as Storm Stream Part 2, or Storm Stream, the Revisiting. So, during the last episode of Storm Stream, we encountered something called a power outage, in which Storm Stream was interrupted by the absence of electricity, causing a deficit in internet capacity, resulting in an inability for us to continue live streaming. You manifested this. Good for you, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, good for you.
I'm glad to see you're using your magical powers well. So, I don't know exactly when the last storm stream was. It was a couple of days ago.
I think so.
It might have been Friday.
Yeah.
Now it's Sunday night. We've been without power between the two storm streams, essentially, although we've had power for a couple of hours now. We were watching a couple of things.
Yeah, but we were live streaming when the power went out. So.
Right. The last time we were streaming, the reason it ended was the power went out. So, one thing I want to do is show everybody where this last you saw us. Okay, so I'm going to go outside and show the snow. It has actually resumed snowing again. But what you will see here is our car is totally buried in snow. I started shoveling over there. You can maybe see the driveway is shoveled over there some. But I'm unable to get out of, I can't get the little wilderness car out even. This best shows the height of the snow. It's about 3.5 feet. It's currently snowing. I don't know if you can see that or not. And it's not supposed to stop until late tomorrow, but it may turn to rain at some point, which would be helpful because if it turns to rain, then it'll help wash away all the snow. So the thing is, we have here a generator that we should have been able to use to give us power without the power on. I was unable to get that generator started. And then I opened the garage door manually because the power was out. And I shoveled out the driveway a bunch and I tried to get the little car. Hi, Lou.
Hi, Lou.
Yeah, it's a lot of snow. I tried to get the little wilderness car up to the road, which is actually clear. Couldn't do it. It was pretty disheartening today at a certain point when we had the sound of the neighbor's generator going. I had people driving by and waving to us from the road, and I couldn't even get our 4x4 wilderness car up the driveway, even though I shoveled the living shit out of it. So I was starting to feel pretty demoralized about the whole thing. And then the power came back on. And a day earlier than they promised us. They said, well, it'll be fixed tomorrow night at 10 p.m., but no guarantees. Well, they actually fixed it today about 6 o'clock. Yeah. Now, 3 days ago, Trouble spent the whole day outside during the teeth of the worst of the storm, when most of this snow fell. And when he finally came back at like 6 o'clock at night, he came trudging through the snow like a cat jumping like this, leaving this big trail behind him of snow. of like a path through the snow. And then at that point, he'd spent all day outside, and when he finally came back at night, he looked like a little overwhelmed. And yesterday, he didn't go outside at all. He stayed inside the whole day. And then today as well, he stayed inside the whole day.
Yeah,
So that's pretty good.
it is good.
Spencer Jones, nice to see you checking in. Winston's mom, glad to see you were doing a little research there. We've been, fine. Got a lot of rest, and slept really well because it was pretty chilly in the master bedroom, which I like, helps me to sleep better. We had these propane heaters, but we'd only have the bottom one mostly on because Rachel didn't. It was too warm for Rachel to have it on in the day room where she sleeps. So it was nice and cold down here, and it makes for good sleeping weather if you got enough blankets.
Yep.
So yeah, we were without power, and then I spent all day shoveling and shoveling and shoveling the driveway, and to no avail. I was unable to get the little wilderness car up the driveway and out into the street. Now, another thing that's worth noting is I'm in the middle of following through on my plan to quit smoking. Yes, we are in California. So I haven't had any cigarettes for several days either. You know, I have smoked a hit off of a butt like yesterday, a couple hits off of a couple butts the day before, but I'm completely out of tobacco at this point. I got no tobacco that I could possibly smoke. So, what's interesting is that I'm not feeling very fiendy about it. I'm not feeling like, oh, I gotta get more cigarettes right now. But, and I'm not feeling like, I don't think I've been very irritable or particularly.
No.
Uh, but what I kind of have realized is that the challenge is going to be when we actually get out of the driveway and can travel someplace to purchase things again. Then it's going to be, that's when I'll determine if I've quit smoking or not, because um, that's when the real temptation will be. When you don't have any cigarettes and you know you can't get any cigarettes. Thanks, Bobby. That's very helpful. That's what I did. I positioned myself in a way that I was gonna get snowed in and not have any cigarettes, and therefore have to quit smoking cigarettes, which has worked. But you know, it kind of just delays the willpower part until later. You know.
Yeah.
I did a lot of snow shoveling today, for sure. I don't have a snowblower, although I'm tempted to get one now.
Snowblowers are pretty clutch in situations like this.
Yeah, got a lot of snow to move. Even when tomorrow I presumably do get the little wilderness car up the right, because you can't get any. There's practically no withdrawal. exactly. If you know you cannot get any cigarettes, then you just go, wow, I don't have any cigarettes, you know? What I do have currently is an anticipation that I'll probably buy a pack when I have the chance to do so. Um, well, so far no Sasquatch. We've yet to see a Sasquatch here, but fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Rachel has kitty ears.
I do have kitty ears.
How very Japanese of you.
Oh, that is so Japanese of me.
What's up, Ruben?
Hey, Ruben.
No, Spencer Jones, this is my house. This is me and Rachel's house.
Yeah.
My dad is dead and I sold off his house. Hey, yeah, I bought a better house. I'll show you the outside of our house, where all the action is. On Stormstream, the Reconnected. This is our house because we live in the woods now. Hey now, my dad is dead. Hey now, my dad is dead. So I bought this house in the woods. So he's looking pretty sweet, huh? Well, I gotta go wrong with a little water in this car inside of there. It goes out into the wilderness like roam. And look over here. That's more of this covered walkway stuff. And the back here is the spooky woods. Are you scared by the spooky woods? I don't blame you. They're scary because they're so spooky. And that over there is our retaining wall. Hey now, retain that wall. Look, if you look inside here, you can see yourself on the TV. See? That's like your chats and stuff. This is our picture of us. Strauss. Mine's ostrich. It's cold out there. Yeah, he did have a PhD in philosophy. He was big into atheism. Well, people die eventually. What happens? To most people. Except for all the people currently alive. It hasn't happened to them yet. Maybe it never will. So, anywho, I don't think this is going to be an especially long stream tonight, but I wanted to check in with everybody and fill you in on the fact that we got cut off last time by a power outage. Yes, Fitzjones, both my parents died in 2022. It was a year of death. A year of death I knew. And Rachel knew it too, as she and I were there to watch my father pass in bleeding and despair. Oh, sure, the whole experience is a little bit traumatic. Oh, sure, it was kind of like shocking, but everything worked out fine. Any peeping toms around there? I hear Mariposa has lots of them. Who are you talking to about peeping tom frequency regarding Mariposa? You must be talking to old Tom Peepers.
Ooh, Tom Beavers.
He's the only peeping tom here in Mariposa. But he says, Tom Peepers, here to fulfill any of your peeping tom needs. He's tried to make it into a business. Unfortunately, nobody needs a peeping tom.
No.
So it's not worked very well for him. Old Tom Peepers. Well, that's fair, Bobby, that's fair. These are excellent anti-peeping tom windows. I can shut them in a heartbeat. Just by going like meow and meow. And they're closed.
BRB.
That's how I prevent toms from peeping.
Would you like, what would you like for medicine?
I would like nothing at all.
Okay. You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for asking, though.
You're welcome.
I've had such long sleeps the last couple of nights. Really long sleeps. You can tell I'm really well rested because I have no wrinkly parts over here, really, just barely any. For me, that's pretty good for me. When I start losing sleep, I get these big wrinkly baggy things here. Anyhow, I guess tomorrow will be Monday. And I think what I'll have to do is call my prescription in. Oh, Saturday Night Live made fun of Bill Walton? Good. Good. Finally, somebody besides me is complaining about Bill Walton. He's so horrible. Oh, Bill Walton, you're so horrible. Oh, Bill Walton, yeah. You're so horrible. But you're not as horrible as that lady named Sam on Naked and Afraid. Sam of Sam and Joe is like the worst partner in the history of Naked and Afraid. Oh my god, I hate her so much. I just despise her. She's such a horrible person. She's the one who says she's a gold star lesbian. She, of course, has nothing to do with why she's a horrible person. But, it does tell you something. It's like most of the good people on the show don't make a big deal of their sexuality regardless of what it is. It's like Dan. Dan was a gay guy, but and you could tell he was gay, but he never mentioned it or like made a big deal about it. Right? She just like comes right out in the episode. First thing she's saying is like, "I'm a gold star lesbian," and that's when I realized, hey, you know what? I'm a gold star heterosexual. Pretty good. What's her name again? I want to watch her episode. Sam and Joe. It's called The Devil's Woods. Is the name of the episode. It's season 12. Somewhere in season 12. But you can read like Reddit threads about it too, and everyone was like, that bitch is horrible. Rachel watched some of it because I kept, even days after I'd seen it, it was like, oh, I hate that horrible country without a re. And so she wanted to see it, so I put it on for her. I had to like go outside the whole time because she was so horrible. Justin's episode was tonight, huh? Oh, I'll have to go to Discovery Plus because they only have one episode of season 15. What racist rant did he make? What did he say? Approximately. Don't say what he said. Just describe the the gist of it. So Ruben says Justin's episode of Naked and Afraid was tonight.
Really?
So we should check Discovery Plus and see if season 15, episode 2 is out yet.
Yeah, we should.
I'm curious about this Scott Adam racist rant. I wonder if it was actually so.
Who's Scott Adam? Is that Is he that golf player?
No, he does Dilbert. That's ridiculous. Well, it's no surprise he got in trouble for that. I mean, I'm not surprised that people took exception to that. I guess I should say. Uh, not very. I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to say. It's like, um, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I lived in a very integrated city, Los Angeles, which has got all different kinds of people, right? I never saw any trouble like based on demographics. Everything always seemed fine to me. Right, well, I don't doubt there's a fair number of people who think they should be president, but I'm correct about that. That's just Taylor. You know, it's an old video of his that did really well, probably better than the rest of his um, videos, and I guess he's kept it up, you know? I'm super accustomed to smoking cigarettes while I stream, so it's kind of a challenge for me.
People with that.
Hi, Bo Fett. Well, sounds like he just kind of blew that chance out of the water. The thing is, you have to actually be a good person and correct about things. You know, if you're dumbass, racist, pandering to conservative base, then you got no business being a politician at all. Certainly got no business being president. Hi, Alan Reed. You are oblivious to truth right now. Location and demographics are a farce, an argument with no merit. Substance, Eric, you can't politicize that. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Seriously. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are
Yeah,
you
I don't
saying
either.
that like it's good to be groupist? It's not. You're always doing some kind of unfairness to the individual human being who probably doesn't represent your perceptions of that group. You know? So if you think that I'm being oblivious, then you know you'll have to explain yourself better, or I'm just going to be dismissive of that because it is the case that groupism is bad and dumb, you know. Location and demographics are a farce and argument with no merit. I mean, all I did was report my own experience in Los Angeles. That's, you're right, it's not much of an argument, but it wasn't made as really an argument. I was just reporting my experience in Los Angeles. All the arguments that need to be made are simply that individuals are never appropriately subject to reductive dismissal according to your group labels that you want to assign to them. You know. Well, Mindy could probably do that. All I gotta do is get back into making Minnie's Club videos. They're pretty successful. Thanks, Ruben. Saying things well is my business. I'm in the business of saying things well rather than poorly. It's the secret to my success. Yay! Scott Adams is a trained hypnotist? Uh-oh, ladies, watch out. So, I've got a few cartoons saved up for when I'm done with this stream before bed, maybe. I've got a new episode of saving up 80,000 gold for my retirement. I got a new episode of. Let me look. I'm gonna look. I just watched the new Hero Academia, but I've also got saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement. A new one of those. I got a new The Reincarnation of the Strongest Exorcist in Another World, which is really good. I've got a new Blue Lock, which is like the best. That's it. I got 3 new ones. Oh no, a new Chillin' in my 30s after getting fired from the Demon King's army. So I got 4 new cartoons waiting for me that I'm excited about. Chilling in my 30s after getting fired from the Demon King's army. Up next, season 1, episode 8. Blue Lock. Up next, season 1, episode 20. That's a weird one. Normally, seasons don't last that long, you know?
Yeah.
The Reincarnation of the Strongest Exorcist in Another World. Up next, season 1, episode 8. Saving 80,000 gold in Another World for my retirement. Up next, season 1, episode 8. And what I watched before this live stream was My Hero Academia season 6, episode 134, which was excellent. It was excellent schmexcellent. The one in front of the gun lives forever. Oh yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Do you think you can find an argument in any truth? Do you think you know what that question means? I don't think you do have any idea what you're asking. one establishes the truth of something, a statement of resolution or something, through the process of making arguments, or the truth of something is not in any dispute. This is most frequently the case. So, do you understand? You don't want to understand. That's why you came out and tried to get me in a really strange time when it made no sense to try to get me. It's like you gotta wait for me to mess up if you're gonna get me. Trying to get me when I don't mess up at all is silly. And then you're like Sam on that episode of Naked and Afraid. It seemed pretty clear she came into the episode hoping to get a douchebag guy so that she could prove what a strong woman she was and how she wasn't going to take it. The producers throw her a curveball and give her this like super cool, down to earth guy who nobody could possibly have a problem with, and he was like, you know, self doubting and stuff, and she was just this country without a read throughout the whole
Yeah.
episode, but it just her attempted narrative construction didn't match the facts at all, you know. What a myotastic pose.
Isn't it?
Howdy, good to see you guys still doing it. What is this fucker person? Just a man that candy coats nonsense? Is that what I am? Well, that's not true. I don't, in fact, candy coat any nonsense. And I generally don't candy coat things at all. I'm known as a fairly straightforward speaker. Uh,
Yeah.
but if you're very convinced that in fact I'm just a man that candy coats nonsense, well then I recommend you find a better stream to watch, one where somebody is doing more serious intellectual work than is being done here, since it doesn't meet your satisfaction. Hey, so why is everyone an INTP? Well, it is not the case that everyone is an INTP. So, when you ask why it is the case that everyone's an INTP, you're asking why something counterfactual is factual. The answer is because that's a dumb question. You're a TWFP show media? Congratulations. That's the best type to be. Yay, I always miss these times. Sounds like you've got a complicated emotional relationship with something. So did that anime character girl mellow down eventually, or did she remain fussy? I'm talking about somebody on Naked and Afraid, dog. If you're talking about what was her name? Sam.
Sam, yeah.
If you're talking about Sam, she was on Naked and Afraid. And she was such a bee. Oh my god. Mm, I hated her so much. I hated her so much that I kept talking about how much I hated her. So that Rachel wanted, eventually Rachel's like, okay, I want to see this.
Yeah, I really did. And it was so worth it.
What time is Sam? I'm not sure.
It escalated so quickly, too.
Well, she was such a cunty warbuckles. You know? Like, really a cunty warbuckles.
Yeah.
She was awful. and she tried to get him to tap. She was like, she said, I begged him to tap last night, but he refuses to do it. So now he's gonna force me, his stubbornness is forcing me to tap, or some shit like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
She's always trying to blame herself on the other people. Well, I was so bad for her barrages. Yeah, what else do you have to say about her? She stinks! Yes, she does. She totally stinks. When is the Snowy Day in Los Angeles album coming out? I just told your horse out, mister. I'll come out when I come out. Okay? You just need to hold all of your horses. Hold them. Hold your horses. I think the guy was probably in like a ISFJ maybe.
Yeah.
He seemed kind of like an ISFJ. He was a 9 for sure, and the lady was a toxic 8, and it was horrible to watch. It was like, ugh. Did we get the COVID vaccine? Yeah, I had to get it to see my mom.
Yeah.
We wouldn't let it go to the nursing home unless we got it. So we got the vaccine plus the booster shot, but we didn't. We haven't got any additional shots. I didn't like it. I didn't like getting it the second time, especially.
Yeah, I didn't
It
either.
really hurt my arm a lot. But obviously it doesn't work, or else it would prevent people from getting COVID, which it doesn't. So, you know. Yeah, I know. I'm excited to see that episode. I don't know if it's released same day on Discovery Plus or not.
What?
Naked and Afraid.
Oh yeah,
If
yeah.
we can see Justin or not.
I want to see it.
I want to say it all.
Maybe I could see it on YouTube TV.
I may be the one who's naked, but you're the one who's going to be afraid.
Yeah.
I can walk on this little white line. Look. You can't see it on the TV, though. You can only see it on the phone. You see? Yeah. Oh, kitty. All right. Well, hello there. I say you.
And Kitty is such a introvert. She'll just let her sit there.
Oh, of course you will. I found this cat. Now it belongs to me.
Oh, that's true, Tiffany.
Oh gosh, Jeff Shaw, I wish I could be more like your ENTP friend who does the crossword puzzle with you every day and accepts his limitations, unlike me, who doesn't accept his limitations. Oh, you got me, man. Wow. Hello, Kai. Oh, yes. I found you. Now you belong to me along with all of your meows.
Kitty's a 9.
Oh no, what are you doing? You knocked me
Oh,
off. Oh no.
no! I want to see how far it goes.
What are you doing?
You smell daddy?
The thing is, I do know my limitations. You just keep attacking me where they aren't. Naturally, because This is my YouTube channel, so I can specialize it to the things I'm actually good at, right? So you're gonna have some problems there. That doesn't mean I don't know my limitations. It means I do know my limitations. That's why I don't do those things around here. Right? This isn't a channel about fixing motor scooters. I don't know. I talk about that. I don't know. I talk like that. I challenge you to a battle of feelings personally. You're on, Master. I found out. Now I own all of your feelings. I don't know any of my limitations because I don't have any. Because I'm tough on it. Anybody who says that I have any limitations, well, I say that to you. You stink! I watched Dead Zone yesterday. I did not watch Dead Zone yesterday. I watched Dead Zone yesterday. But I did not watch Dead Zone yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. The last few days have really proved my limitations. But also that I'm not completely incapable of doing a couple of things. Like, I successfully found and plugged in the landline that needs no electricity so that we could have a phone. Because our other landline is the kind that has remote receivers, so it requires electricity to work. Even though landlines, one of the advantages of them is they don't require electricity to work. If you get the kind that's corded, that you don't have a remote receiver. But we have a generator. I could not get it started for the life of me. I wanted to take the little car out to the road, which is clear, and I see people driving by on the road in like a Subaru, not even like in a quad, right? I shovel the living shit out of the driveway, and I still cannot get my little wilderness car, which is a 4x4 with like locking rear differential and everything. I cannot get it backed up the goddamn driveway. Like, oh my goodness. What frustration.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I felt like incompetent. Would an INTJ ever say that's just an argument that doesn't compare to my experience? They're unlikely to say that, Eleanor, because that would suggest that they're prioritizing SI, which in an NI DOM is super unconscious. So they are very unlikely to say that. Did I ever read Freud, Eric? I think I actually did at one point a long time ago, but like in high school psychology, maybe. But I definitely don't really remember it at all. Well, NI understands things according to their identity. SI understands things according to your experience of them. That's the difference. Well, I get, Joshua, that you're constantly trying to teach me something. But every time I actually ask you to teach me something in some kind of productive way, you've got nothing to say. So, you know. Where should a psychology student look for info? Talking with famous people. People with SI tool don't even really get the concept of knowing without experiencing. They may challenge the idea that such knowing can exist. I mean, the problem with psychology in general is that much of it is predicated on some false assumptions that render whatever it's saying misleading, partially incorrect, etc., predicated on the fact that there are actually 15 kinds of individuals rather than one. And so when you're looking at deviations from a norm and not factoring that in, you end up with a whole fucked up branches of psychology. Like abnormal psych is all fucked up because it's got the wrong frame of reference. How can you possibly evaluate anything accurately if you're evaluating against a single norm and there are actually 16 distinct norms? You know? How's the snow situation around here? It looks like this. There's a whole lot of snow sitting on my car. It looks like it has a very big hair. Yes, it does. A very big hair. There's very big hair on my car. Like it's probably 3.5 coming up on 4 feet of snow we've gotten. And let's see what it looks like at the back here. Robo, you want to come inside right now or you want to stay out for a bit? So here's out the back door. And as you can see, it is currently snowing. Which is, you know, it's a little frustrating, I guess, because I spent all that time shoveling the driveway today. But you know what they say, birds gonna fly, snow's gonna snow, fish gonna crawl on land. That's what they say. I'm a gold star lesbian, a gold star lesbian. I'm a gold star lesbian, let me hear your body talk. I've asked you to teach me things plenty of times, Jeff Shaw. You consistently give me responses like that rather than actually teaching me anything. What can I tell you? You had plenty of opportunities to teach me things. You consistently give me responses like that.
I'm gonna watch them, but I love you.
Love you too. Good night.
Good night.
Haters gonna hate, potatoes gonna potate. Do you remember Yahoo Answers? It's got a huge pompadour. The years creep slowly by. The snow's on the grass again. The sun's low in the sky. My TE will not allow me to learn anything at all. That's a mean cargo function. Not allowing me to learn anything. Oh, I can't learn. Because you're such a horrible, selfish bad. Thanks. Thanks, Tiffany. You're welcome. Peeping Toms were the original Neighborhood Watch. I think that's actually the Guardian Angels or the original Neighborhood Watch. They wore red berets and they patrolled the town with a pride of scorpions on leashes to prevent crime. You may remember them. Yeah, Guardian Angels. You could trust them because they had a red beret on. Hello, boss. Okay? I'm the boss of everything. Mr. Bobby, back at Little Rock in the headquarters squadron dorms, we had a peeping Dom in the female airman's wing. Why do they call female airmen? Why do they just call them airwomen? Huh? I never got caught, but a bunch of us were creeped out. Oh, look, I'm totally naked, but it doesn't bother me when people look at me. I say, I'm not the one who's naked, but you're the one who's afraid. It's truth, man. You are uncoachable and unteachable. TE does not allow that. Well, gosh, man. Are you sure you wouldn't like to attempt to coach or teach me something before declaring me uncoachable and unteachable? I'm right here. Go ahead. Share some wisdom with me. I'm open to learn. Open to learn. Meow, 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 meow. Open to learn. Meow, 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 meow. It's a pretty good song. It's on the playlist. It's kind of a weird song, but I like it. It doesn't say, of course. You need to bend your knees and remember to follow through on your jumpsuit, Eric. Okay, I'm learning. I'm learning right now. Pew! Like that. Personality type can and does change through life experience. That's a 3-point shot you just attempted. Flew wildly asunder of the basket. Lol, no, you were just in a space of not knowing. Is there nothing you can say that might help me? Gosh. So I'm both lost in a space of not knowing and unable to learn any of the knowledge that would help free me from that space? What a terrible predicament I'm in. Rachel knows what song I'm talking about. What is something you learned recently? Well, I learned there's a whole Reddit thread devoted towards who is the worst partner on Naked and Afraid. A lot of people agree Sam is terrible. You wake up knowing that every day. I wake up knowing what now? I mean, most days I wake up thinking about some weird shit unrelated to what. I mean, that is something I've learned recently. I learned that just like a couple days ago. What else did I learn recently? That I definitely should have gotten a new generator before the power went out here. That was dumb of me. I knew that generator wasn't working, but I didn't really take seriously the fact that the power was going to go out. But it did, you know. What else? Something else I learned recently? That it's surprisingly hard to shovel the driveway enough to get my little wilderness car out onto the road. I spent all day shoveling the driveway today. What else did I learn recently? That not having any electricity is is sucks ass. Even if you've got a working stovetop and working propane heaters, um, having books would have been nice. We don't have any books with us, or we probably do, but I didn't feel like unpacking things. What else have I learned recently? That if you don't have any access to cigarettes, it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem. You don't seem to experience that much withdrawal symptoms because, like, I don't have any cigarettes. I have no way of getting any cigarettes, and so, and I'm not being particularly irritable or anything. Uh, what are some other things I've learned recently? Um, I mean, I've learned all kinds of random shit all the time. I learned that the town of Mariposa is actually uh, under 2,000 feet elevation. I thought it was higher. That the Jersey Dale Ranger Station is at 3,780 feet, which guesstimates us at about 4,000 feet elevation because we're a little higher than the Jersey Dale station. Uh, I recently learned that Mariposa is like exactly on the other side of the Sierras as Mammoth Lakes, which I went to my whole childhood. Um, I think your TE is good when applied in the vein of the collective. Okay, thanks, Jeff Shaw. Oh, you were just messing with me. Okay, gosh. I am learning so much tonight from you. I don't have a drinking problem until I can't get a drink. Ever have clouds roll in? Yeah, I mean, clouds are rolling in right now. What about something that requires more processing, not something surface? Uh, well, I mean, I've been processing a lot of stuff from the relatively recent past, but I don't consider that really learning things. It's more like processing shit. Come on in, Mr. Man. Mr. Man Kitty wanted to come in. I very much appreciate my parents, and also I have this weird this weird negativity about my dad that I wish I didn't have, but things went kind of haywire there at the end. So I I don't think I have a whole lot to learn about that, but I recognize that I'm not where I eventually will be about it. So I don't. I still don't think that really qualifies as learning something. I've learned a lot about the challenge of going someplace new and starting a new life, and um, thanks, Jordan Valley. Uh, I mean, I don't think I'm not where I need to be with that. I think that things like that move unconsciously for me. You know, it's like I feel emotions sometimes. They happen to me. Often when I wake up, when I haven't been consciously thinking of something, but I'll wake up with some sort of feelings. You know, the fact that I experience feelings does not mean necessarily that I'm not where I need to be. It just means that I'm experiencing feelings which are demanding attention at odd moments and receiving it, you know, whether that receiving of attention moves me from one place to another place is another question. It's like it's all subjective stuff, so it's hard to say anything concrete about it, really. Um, no, I don't wait for feelings. I just experience them sometimes. I wouldn't know how to wait for a feeling. That seems. Well, I guess I get the concept of it, but I mean, I guess I think that feelings happen and have something to do with what you're doing. So it would be silly to just wait for a feeling, even if could identify the feeling you wanted to wait for. So I don't know what to say about that. That's a very confusing question to me. Pig Pig, are you calling me Pig Pig Show Media? My name is Baby Pig Poop Face. You got it wrong. Dreams tell the myths forgotten by the day. Shit like that's why Jung is totally gay. I don't trump emotion. I'm just not good at it, right? I'm not too good for emotion. I'm terrible at emotions. I'm terrible at using what they have to teach us. I'm terrible at processing them. When I do attempt to use them in informative ways, I typically make terrible decisions, right? Yeah, Mr. Bobby's got it right. I'm baby pig poop face. Say if someone wants relief, they have at some level to wait for their wound to heal first when there's no more pain. I mean, I don't feel prolonged emotional pain at any sort. Certainly not now. I may have for a stretch of time, but grieving is a little different than other kinds of pain. I think uh, it's easy to understand what it is. It's just that mine was complicated by circumstances, both in terms of the manner of death and also in terms of the Complications with the inheritance. SI stuff, right? Yeah, SI stuff. SI stuff takes some processing. Uh, when it when it links to strong FI stuff, you know, when you get wronged or somebody close to you gets wronged, that anger stays with me a long time. It'll stay with me indefinitely, really, until and unless I do something about it to get back at that person. Like I feel very mad at Rachel's brother, but I will continue to feel mad at him because he's escaped his due comeuppance. You know, he needs to be held accountable, and he's escaped it. He's avoided talking to me completely, and has had no chance to be yelled at by me. You know, he needs me to yell at him, and he needs to have to sit there and listen to it. You know, but he's not getting what he needs. Him not getting what he needs is me not getting what I want, which is justice. Yeah, fuck yeah, it is, Alex T. Because that's precisely what he doesn't want, right? That makes it justice. It's the way of being held accountable that he does not want. That's what makes it justice. He needs so much justice for his wrongdoings. You know. No, I'm not talking about any kind of violence at all. It's like chic. Chic. I'm saying side chic. I'm saying that he needs me to yell at him. Well, that's true. There are plenty of things a person doesn't want that aren't justice. This is not one of those things, though. This is one of the things that is, in fact, justice. It's exactly the justice he needs. And, that's all there is to it. That's how you have to distinguish between things that are examples of a class and things that, are, affirm. This is definitely of the latter sort. Only an unjust person would fail to affirm my verbally holding the man accountable for his years of sister abusing nonsense. Well, based on the fact that he's a narcissist, he will never do that. It's his worst nightmare. I'm Eric the Narcissist Slayer. They run in terror and avoid having that conversation no matter what. It's horrible. Oh, wonderful kitty, man. Look who I have on my lap. Oh, yes. Mr. Mankity Kittyman is here, making a special guest appearance on my lap. Oh, what a wonderful man. So handsome and true. Jeff Shaw, will you stop with your nonsense, please? How's Eric using typology? Yeah. This is my Bublington Squire. Yeah, he works out. That's why he's so sexy. He's a sexy man kitty. Oh, yes, I'm a sexy man kitty. Oh, yes, I'm a man kitty sex. He is such an important kitty man. If you want to know the truth about important kitty man, you should look right here at the truth in front of you. That's a really important kitty man. And everybody should know that nobody should deny. That nobody should deny. Because he's a jolly good kitty that nobody should deny. If you want to deny him, then you're nobody. He's not trying to say something, Alec T. That's the point. He's trying to shit in my soup whatever way he possibly can. Anything he can say that he thinks will successfully shit in my soup, he will say it. You know, he's trying to knock across certain lines and insinuate certain things and trying to shit in my suit. This is NI, what I'm telling you. The singular, absolute, correct truth interpretation of what's going on. Now, you don't like NI, it's countervalued for you. But nevertheless, it is the truth and the determinant factor in this whole matter. So, there you have it. Well, the thing is, I use my intuition, Alex T, to intuit it. I can't establish it deductively, right? It's just part of the reason why you countervalue NI. It's holistic. It can't be parsed, right? You're a parse dom. You parse with your feelings, but nevertheless, you believe in parsing. Well, this isn't a parsing function that I'm using to intuit correctly about the situation. It's NI. Oh, yes. What a good kitty. What a valuable and true kitty man. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I can't. I'm not trying to make that affirmation. The thing is, in this context, it's absolutely appropriate for me to use my intuition to make judgments about people who are toxically engaging in the chat, right? It's not appropriate in a court of law to do that, but it absolutely is appropriate for me to use my intuition on my YouTube channel to exclude or otherwise condemn voices that I intuit are not speaking from a position of honesty, right? There's no honest critique there. It's been evidenced multiple times, right? Now, if you want to take exception with what I'm saying, that's fine, but you can't take exception with the fact that this is absolutely the appropriate context and the appropriate situation for me to use my intuition to make judgment calls without having something to be deductively proven, right? We don't need him to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This isn't a court of law. So if you don't get that, then that's your problem, not mine. Well, I mean, I do sometimes intuit incorrectly, but nevertheless, the fact that people are imperfect does not mean they should be crippled into inaction, right? So lots of times we take action both verbally and in real world with incomplete information, and that's desirable, not just acceptable, but desirable, right? And again, you have to look at contexts. There are contexts in which it's not appropriate or ethical for me to use my intuition to make judgment calls about the motivations of some other party, right? And there are contexts and circumstances where it is absolutely appropriate, this being one of them. Can you recognize that? You know? Alex, you come in with a lot of pushback against me, most every stream, which is fine. Well, I'm pushing back now here and I'm winning this point. Do you agree with me or not? No, I mean, what I'm pointing out is there are certain contexts and situations where it's absolutely appropriate for me to use my intuition, and this is one of them, right? I mean, and I disagree with you completely that there's potential misinterpretation there. I think that I've interpreted it absolutely correctly, 100% correctly, with my intuition. I've had plenty of experience additionally with Jeff Shaw, so I know how he rolls. But you know, I'm fluent in both knowledge functions, right? I have both experiential data reference and very conscious access to the intuitive truth of things as well. You know, comparatively conscious, at least for the purposes of what I'm doing as an action type, extrovertly intuiting, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm 100% correct about it. Is it possible I'm wrong? Well, like I said, when you're dealing with holistic truths, it can't be established with beyond a reasonable doubt or something like that. I'm talking about a holistic explanation of why this individual is talking the way he's talking and what his actual intentions are, right? I'm correct about that, 100% correct. Can I prove it? No. Do I need to prove it? No. You have to look at context and circumstance. This is absolutely the appropriate context for me to use my intuition, right? Well, then I'm human and I am wrong. But I'm not wrong in this circumstance. And the fact that I can, in theory, be wrong is not a good reason to presume myself wrong in this circumstance. Again, not a court of law, not trying to find guilty of a criminal offense. It's not critically important that 100 innocent people go free for every one guilty person who gets caught up, right? Right? See, what I see here is a lack of willingness to grasp what I'm saying. It's very NI rejecting. I don't lack the ability to even see the question. I saw it and answered it. But what if what you call nonsense isn't nonsense? I am occasionally wrong, right? But I'm not in this instance. And I'm very confident of that. The fact that I can in theory be wrong is not a good reason to dismiss me in this instance. You have to have some kind of standard other than perfection. In other words, you can be really robust in your standard and say, I'm never going to use intuition. If there's even 100 to 1 chance that it's wrong, I'd rather have 100 guilty people go free than one innocent person be found guilty. You could go 1,000, right? But you can't go infinite. You have to set the standard somewhere. So, and you have to situationally or contextually adjust accordingly. And that's reality, right? That's reality taking over and forcing us to use actual intuition rather than reject it in favor of more extroverted intuition in every instance. This is the problem with extroverted intuition as a tool function. It implies countervalued NI, and countervalued NI is a nightmare, because NI is what prevents us from persisting in bad ways. It also allows us to take action in good ways. If you can't take any action because you reject the holistic truths that you can't establish definitively, then you're hamstrung, right? So it's pretty unfortunate. It's a pretty unfortunate sort of epistemological handicap to have NI countervalues like that. Here, have some storm. This is Storm Stream, the Reconnected. I gotta go pee. You guys can look at the storm for a while. So I guess the important takeaway here is that a good response to what I'm saying is is one of a couple of things. One would be, wow, Eric's good at and correctly distinguishing between instances where he can establish something deductively and stuff when he's just using his intuition and is accurately reporting that to us. Wow, that's really impressive. That should be one response. And the other response should be, I should therefore, if I want, I can choose to take what Eric's saying with more of a grain of salt. He's conceding out the gate that it's simply a holistic intuition of his, that it's not something he can deductively establish. So you can think those are two good things to think in response to what I said, right? Is wow, Eric's doing a great job of distinguishing between those kind of claims he can substantiate and those he can't. Wow, he's doing a great job of establishing how intuition plays out in some kind of a fashion, how you need to have intuition as a human being to function effectively. And also that therefore I should take what he's saying with less certainty than when he says he knows something deductively, right? Those are all good responses to what I said. Because those are paying attention to the process rather than the words you want to hear or not hear, right? The process is important. The words you want to hear and not hear are not important. No, it's not all relative and context dependent. The fact that varying things can be distinguished between those that are context and relevance, context and situational dependent or relative, and things that are not makes it very abundantly clear that not everything is relative. For example, we can talk about plenty of rights violations that are always wrong, regardless of context, right? It's never okay to maim toddlers purposefully. Um, doesn't matter what your context or excuse is. There's no utilitarian justification for something like that. It's never acceptable to torture, right? So those are moral absolutes that are undeniable by any thinking civilized human being. Well, Alec T, unfortunately, what you're saying is an attempt to broaden is typically wrong-minded and needs to be corrected. And if it's in conflict with what I'm saying, then it is fundamentally adversarial. That makes it win lose, right? If there's a contradiction between what you're saying and what I'm saying, then I'm going to verify that in fact what I'm saying is correct and that your contradictory statements are false. It's a necessary consequence of choosing to position things that are contradictory to what I'm saying. Either you're going to win or I'm going to win. How about a baseball cap? I didn't want things to get so adversarial tonight. It wasn't my plan on having an adversarial kind of a stream. Uh, but, as I've explained, truth has actually three different pillars: the correspondence notion of truth, the, um, what's it called? Bearer carrier theory, and intention. I've explained truth in great detail before. Okay, well, Alec T, the point is this. When you ask a question like, but what if what you call nonsense isn't nonsense? Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm not perfect, right? And yet, what's clearly in what where the learning opportunity here is with that question is clearly in understanding that NI has its place, even though it's not perfect, right? So Rachel's NI hits a wall when she tries to NI about an ESTJ, for example. She and I concluded that we should call this woman Janet because my dad had her refrigerator magnets all over the fridge. She thought that's who my dad would have picked. He just liked refrigerator magnets, you know? He had no intuition at all. He wasn't trying to tell us anything. And Rachel and I overreached there in assuming that she was dealing with someone who had some intuition and therefore she could intuit things about it. So intuition is not always correct, and sometimes when it's wrong, it's disastrously wrong. Again, you're most likely to be wrong when you're intuiting about people who have no intuition. My intuition failed me dramatically when intuiting about legal documents from what my dad said when I should have just read them. Because based on what he said, anybody would have intuited the same thing, right? But because I trust and place value in intuition as an absolute value, I over rely on it, even in circumstances where I should experience it directly by reading the thing. I don't want to experience it directly if I think it's got bad news. I'm just going to intuit what I intuit, right? Well, I was terribly wrong about that. People are going to be wrong in their intuition sometimes. That doesn't mean it's bad to use intuition. And your question suggests that we should be very hesitant about using intuition because sometimes it's wrong. That's what's suggested by it. I'm not saying that's what you said. I'm saying that's what's suggested by it. So the point is, it is the case that intuition is sometimes wrong, and it is also the case that we should still use it in many contexts, but not every context. If you are in a court of law, you should look for proof beyond a reasonable doubt before you find somebody guilty, right? That's a higher standard than around here when I'm talking about what I believe to be the motivations of somebody who's a well-established hater with a lot of track record of hating, you know. So and a lot of the same style of hating. So you chose the wrong context in which to challenge the legitimacy of intuition because it's clearly correct in this instance because it's consistent with both knowledge functions, right? We can intuit what's going on here on its face right now, but we can also compare against myriad past examples of the same kind of bullshit. So, you picked the wrong context in which to challenge the legitimacy of intuition. You picked the wrong guy to defend, right? As a defense attorney, you've got a terrible client. There's too vast a pile of evidence against him. So, you know, that's what makes it adversarial. I don't want things to be adversarial, but I get that people don't like the fact, they don't like it when I say I'm right about things. They don't like that at all. They don't like the fact that I'm always correcting and clarifying what other people are saying rather than saying, you're right about that. They think I never admit when I'm wrong or something like that, even though there's plenty of examples where I do. They're frustrated. I'm a frustrating guy for people who want to be some kind of knowledgeable person who knows about things because I position myself as the gauge of all knowing, right? Like Alec, even when you ask the question, well, when's the last time you've learned something? Well, can you talk more about you needing to learn things? Well, no, because when I'm live streaming, I'm not in learner mode, right? I'm in talking mode. When I was not live streaming and I'm learning things, that's when I'm in learner mode. And so you want to talk about things that I've recently learned, they're not very interesting things because I've not been learning very interesting things lately, you know? The last few days I haven't had any internet, so I've not been reading anything on the internet. I've been learning things about life. Not very interesting. What I already know is something you should be interested in learning if you want to be knowledgeable in a good way about the universe. You seem more interested in challenging than in learning. I'm willing to meet those challenges and will every time. You do so in a fine, civilized, respectful fashion. I have no problem with it. But don't mistake what you're doing for non-adversarial. You know, we're not going to let that fly. People can learn by challenging, sure, but they can't learn by challenging and claim they're non-adversarial, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be adversarial and learn that way and then say, I'm not being adversarial. It's not win loss. Well, why don't you correct him on his mispronunciation of English words then? I'm interested in learning what you've learned. I've learned a lot about my penis today. My penis is gray, my pinkish gray. I learn a lot about my penis every day. Yeah, every day I learn a little bit more about my penis. I touch its various folds and pieces of flesh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, I'm learning a lot about my penis every day and every night. It's what I got. First, I'll learn about the left of my penis. Then, now I'll learn about right. Then, I'll learn about the top of my penis. And the bottom, it's alright. And I'll learn about the middle part. It's also pinkish gray. Like the top of my penis is a little more purple. And it's a different day. Now, my scrotum, too, is part of my junk. I'll touch it and I'll learn things. Yeah, it's got some folds and hair as well. I'm learning things about my penis. You're never accountable and so inaccurate all the time, though. Well, both those statements are false. So you're over 2 on those statements. If you take adversarial simply to mean to be in opposition, then what's the problem with that? Well, if what you're saying disagrees with what I'm saying and is mutually exclusive thereof, and only one thing is correct, then the problem is what you're saying is wrong. Where can you find my music? You can find it on my front page. Scroll down until you see a playlist called Eric's Greatest Hits. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Jeff Shaw doesn't know what TE is at all. It's an interface function for logic's non-communicative. This is the sort of thing I gotta correct, you know? I gotta correct shit when people say wrong ass shit. Like, oh, this was terribly wrong. I guess I'll have to correct it. No, Jeff Shaw, my correcting you is not TE at all. TE is the non-communicative logics. Yeah, I'm using communication logics here, you see? See how that works? It's crazy when you think, huh? Crazy what kinds of things you think when you think things. I mean, I give myself permission to be incorrect. I presume only conditional correctness, right? My correctnesses are all conditional on a better argument being made and supplanting the one I currently possess. That's called the process of being correct, right? The process of being correct is one in which all of your positions that you say are correct are conditionally correct, contingent upon there remaining no better argument to supplant them. That's how to be correct. My penis has more logic than I do. My penis is subject to a logic called biology. Biology. That's right, the logic of bio things, like me and my penis. The logic of animals and bacteria and other things that are alive is called biology. Okay? My penis has biologic. My brain has actual logic. Your brain is full of alcohol. Oh God. I am I am feeling it right now for a cigarette. Yes, but Alec T, you are just shitting right now, right? I don't even know if you're aware of it. I've I've laid the hammer down on multiple points. You should be embracing the significance of those hammer blows, and instead you are trying to get shitty with them. So the emotional tail waves the rational dog. I mean, it entirely depends on the individual. It entirely depends on the individual. You know, trying to universalize things about the universe, about the world, without taking into account typology is doomed to fail, doomed to result in various assorted wrongnesses to the detriment of everybody. Okay. Um, I'm not. I'm not in the mood for this kind of shittiness. It makes me want to smoke a cigarette too much. So I'm gonna call this a wrap, and I'll probably watch some cartoons, and I'll check back with y'all in the morning. See you later.